The day the world shattered. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, as Ethan Miller pedaled his bike furiously down the quiet suburban street. His heart was racing, not from the exertion of cycling, but from the sheer terror that gripped him. His breath came in short, panicked gasps, and his vision blurred with tears. He had never felt so alone, so helpless. The world he had known, a world of safety, laughter, and innocence, had been ripped apart in an instant. Ethan was only 10 years old, but he had already seen more than any child should. His sister Lily was his best friend, his confidant, his everything. She was 12, with bright green eyes and a smile that could light up the darkest room. She had always been there for him, protecting him from bullies at school, helping him with his homework, and sneaking him cookies when their parents weren't looking. But now, she was gone. The unthinkable happens. It had started like any other day. Ethan and Lily had walked to school together, as they always did. They had laughed and joked, making plans for the weekend. Lily had promised to teach Ethan how to ride his bike without training wheels, and Ethan had teased her about her crush on a boy in her class. It was a normal day, filled with the simple joys of childhood. But when the final bell rang and Ethan waited for Lily by the school gates, she never showed up. At first, he thought she might have stayed behind for a club or detention, but when he asked her teacher, he was told she had left on time. Panic began to set in. Ethan ran home, hoping to find her there, but the house was empty. His parents were at work, and there was no sign of Lily. It was then that he remembered the dark blue van he had seen parked near the school that morning. He had thought nothing of it at the time, but now the memory sent a chill down his spine. He ran to the window, his small hands pressing against the glass, and that's when he saw it. The van speeding away, its tires screeching against the pavement. And in the back, through the tinted windows, he thought he saw a flash of Lily's red backpack. The desperate run. Ethan didn't think, he just ran. He ran out of the house, down the street, and toward the one person he believed could help. Mr. Jonathan Hayes, the attorney who lived at the end of the block. Mr. Hayes was a towering figure in the community, known for his sharp mind and unwavering sense of justice. Ethan had heard his parents speak of him in reverent tones, calling him a man who fought for the little guy. And right now, Ethan felt smaller than he ever had in his life. As he ran, his mind raced with fear and guilt. Why hadn't he done something? Why hadn't he stopped them? He replayed the scene in his mind over and over, wishing he could turn back time, but he couldn't. All he could do was run. When he finally reached Mr. Hayes's house, he burst through the front door, his chest heaving, his face streaked with tears. Mr. Hayes looked up from his desk, startled by the sudden intrusion. His sharp eyes softened when he saw the boy, recognizing the raw terror in his face. "Ethan?" Mr. Hayes said, his voice calm but urgent. "What's wrong? What happened?" Ethan tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. He took a deep, shuddering breath and managed to choke out 4 words that would haunt Mr. Hayes for the rest of his life. "They took my sister. The investigation begins." Mr. Hayes's heart dropped like a stone. He knelt down in front of Ethan, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder. "Ethan, listen to me. You're safe now. I need you to tell me everything. Who took her? What did they look like? Did they say anything?" Ethan shook his head, his tears flowing freely. "They were wearing masks. Black masks. And they had a van. It was dark blue. They grabbed her when she was walking home from school. I saw it from the window. I tried to stop them, but they were too fast." Mr. Hayes's mind raced. He knew that time was of the essence. Every second that passed decreased the chances of finding Lily alive. He quickly grabbed his phone and dialed the police, his voice steady but urgent as he relayed the information to the dispatcher. As he waited for the police to arrive, Mr. Hayes tried to piece together what had happened. Ethan's parents were nowhere to be found, and the boy was too distraught to provide any more details. But one thing was clear. This was no random kidnapping. The masked men had targeted Lily specifically, and they had done so with precision. A dark conspiracy. The police arrived within minutes, their sirens wailing as they pulled up to the house. Mr. Hayes briefed them on the situation, his legal mind already working to anticipate the next steps. He knew that the first 48 hours were critical in cases like this, and he was determined to do everything in his power to bring Lily home safely. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that this was no ordinary crime. The kidnappers had left behind few clues, and the trail seemed to grow colder with each passing day, but Mr. Hayes refused to give up. He spent countless hours poring over evidence, interviewing witnesses, and working with the police to track down the kidnappers. What he discovered shocked him to his core. The kidnapping was part of a larger, more sinister plot, a human trafficking ring that had been operating in the shadows for years. Lily had been targeted because of her age and appearance, and the kidnappers had been watching her for weeks, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. A race against time. As the days turned into weeks, Mr. Hayes became more than just Ethan's attorney. He became his protector, his advocate, and his friend. He spent every waking moment working on the case, driven by a fierce determination to bring Lily home. He knew that every second counted, and he refused to rest until she was safe. Ethan, meanwhile, was struggling to cope with the trauma of what had happened. He barely slept, haunted by nightmares of his sister's terrified face. He felt guilty for not being able to protect her, and he was consumed by fear that he might never see her again. But Mr. Hayes was there for him, offering comfort and reassurance in the face of unimaginable fear. The breakthrough. Finally, after weeks of tireless effort, a breakthrough came. The police received a tip from an anonymous source, leading them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Mr. Hayes accompanied the police as they raided the building, his heart pounding with a mixture of hope and fear. What they found inside would haunt him for the rest of his life. The warehouse was empty, save for a single room at the back. And in that room, they found Lily, alive but barely conscious. She had been drugged and left alone in the dark, her small body trembling with fear. Mr. Hayes rushed to her side, his hands shaking as he gently lifted her into his arms. She was weak and disoriented, but she was alive. And as he carried her out of that dark, hellish place, he felt a surge of relief and gratitude that he had never known before. The aftermath. The days that followed were a blur of hospital visits, police interviews, and legal proceedings. The kidnappers were eventually caught and brought to justice, thanks in no small part to Mr. Hayes's relentless efforts. But for Ethan and Lily, the scars of that ordeal would never fully heal. Lily struggled with nightmares and anxiety, and Ethan carried the weight of guilt for not being able to protect her. But with the support of their family, their community, and Mr. Hayes, they slowly began to rebuild their lives. Mr. Hayes continued to be a source of strength and support for the family, helping them navigate the long road to recovery. And as he watched Ethan and Lily slowly rebuild their lives, he knew that he had done more than just his job as an attorney. He had made a difference in the lives of two children who had been through hell and back, a new beginning. In the end, it wasn't just about the law or justice. It was about compassion, about being there for someone when they needed it most. And for Mr. Hayes, that was the most important case he had ever taken on. Ethan and Lily eventually found a way to move forward, their bond stronger than ever. They knew that the world could be a dark and dangerous place, but they also knew that there were people like Mr. Hayes who would fight for them, no matter what. And as the sun set on another day, casting its golden light over the quiet suburban street, Ethan and Lily stood together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future might bring. They had been through the worst, but they had also seen the best of humanity, and that gave them hope.